Hi guys, welcome to the first video of 2015. I've not done a video for a month or so, purely because it's just been the Christmas break and very poor light visibility throughout December, and I've been teaching regular clientele as well. So just waiting for a video that can show you a new customer to me in a new swing. One of the things that's been brought up through speaking to people about the videos that I've put on YouTube is always using touring professionals as examples to copy, when obviously they're saying to me I'm not going to be a touring professional. One of the reasons that I use examples of touring professionals or tour players to show you and demonstrate the movements is when I ask you to change a swing or move something or make a certain movement, I like to give you evidence as to support why you should be doing that, rather than just simply say, as a coach, move your arms this way, or move the club face this way, or move your legs this way. I can give you dozens of examples as evidence of players that do that. So maybe through the times when you're finding it a little bit difficult, or you're understanding it, you can always watch them as references, or you can always say to yourself that that they do make those movements, rather than just simply me telling you as a golf coach that you should be doing that. So I don't just like to throw theories out there. I like to back up what I say with evidence and support why you should possibly make the changes. Today you're going to have the best of both worlds. So we're going to have a new student to me over here on the left hand side, who's Alan, and we're going to have a tour pro on the right here, Dustin Johnson. The tour pros that I do use as well, they are the best hitters. They would leading stats such as advanced total driving distance, and driving accuracy. You cannot hit it long without hitting it straight, especially on the PGA Tour. So some of the guys that you might think long hitters but not very straight. They are. You cannot be have an erratic long game and succeed on the PGA Tour now. So these guys are long and straight, and they are the best at it. Obviously, as well as a tour pro, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up one of my students, a guy I've been teaching for a couple of years, and show you how he has some of the same movements that Dustin Johnson has, and maybe that Alan doesn't. So what we're really trying to get across in these videos is teaching some of those movements and copying those same patterns, rather than trying to get you to look exactly like Dustin Johnson. It's not really the point of the exercise. It's just to simply back up what we're trying to say and give you evidence as to support why you should be making those changes. So over here on the left is Alan. Like I say, new student to me. He's roughly about 60 years old. His complaint was that he wasn't hitting the ball far enough. So on the GC2 launch monitor, he was only hitting the ball roughly about 100 yards. This is a 7-iron. 60 years old. So definitely some, no health concerns. Definitely some room to gain him some yardage in there. So let's have a look at his swing. I'll swing him up to the top, and we can have a look, and then I'll just play it down, and then we can just run it backwards and forwards, and just run through maybe some of the different changes that we'll make. Okay, so if we start at setup, at the moment, not going to really say too much in terms of changing his setup. We'll just leave that alone, and we'll just swing him up to the top of the swing. And we'll start here. So a couple of things to point out. Like I said, Alan's main problem is robbing him of distance. So one of the first things that you may notice is Alan's definitely left loading at the top of his swing. You can see how his left hip is much lower than his right hip. It looks like he's dumping all his weight down on his left ankle joint here. And what this does is it makes it very hard for most people to rotate their legs and the left knee and the left hip around in this manner. It makes it very, very hard to do that, especially for the average population of golf. Some tour pros may be able to get this far left and still turn. Arnold Palmer's one coming to mind straight away that did this type of movement and still managed to rotate his legs very well. but the majority of them just wouldn't do that. If we just run Dustin Johnson over here on the right hand side up to the top, you can see that he's definitely not got his weight on his left side. His hip is nice and high. The hips are nice and level. You definitely don't want to be feeling that you're at the top of the swing, that you're dumping all your weight down this left foot. Okay, so definitely one of the first things that we could possibly change. The second thing, and something I'm huge on, are club face positions, and especially club face positions in the amateur game. Something that isn't, I don't think, hugely taught, especially from the amount of people I see coming through the door with club face issues. At the top of the swing, you can see Alan's club face position is definitely more toe down. Over on the right hand side, Dustin's is more toe up or facing the sky. This to me is a much simpler way to play, or a simpler position to play golf from. Over here on the right hand side, left hand side, Alan's is open, and he's definitely going to have to try and close it in the downswing. And if he tries to close it by using his arms and his wrists, then that's definitely going to be one of the biggest things that's going to rob him of power, because he's going to have to stop rotating his body and allow his arms to cast and his wrists to flip and roll the club face round in order to get this club face back somewhere near straight. And that's exactly what he does. So on the way down, you'll see that the club face remains open. The first thing he does is he looks like he starts to extend his arms, so you see the club starts to get a long way away from him very early. The right arm starts to look very, very straight early in the swing. There's no significant elbow move or holding of the external rotation of the arm. Another indicator is this huge gap of daylight that's appearing between his right arm and the right side of his body. And if we just pull Dustin Johnson down, because his club face is in a much better position, he can now hold those angles, so the club will stay close to him. You'll see his right elbow here start to hold its external rotation and tuck in towards his right hip. Just means he's going to hold lag and hold his angles a lot better. And you can now see the big difference between the two swings. So Alan's club face is still open here. Now he's going to start to continue to try and close it. So arms have fired, extending early. We're going to add right wrist flexion in here. The left wrist is going to extend and cup, and you can see the left arm start to break down in order to flip this club round. Now, he does this really well because he hits it straight, but it is not the most powerful way to move. It's a very, very timed way of moving, and in order to get your timing very good, you're going to have to slow down. And obviously, because he's using and extending his arms and using his wrists and his hands in order to hit the ball straight, he's not going to be using the bigger muscles in the rib cage area here, in the trunk, and definitely in the legs here. So not the most powerful way to move, and definitely requires a lot of timing. Dustin's club face position over here, it's just a shame this video is a tiny bit blurry, but much squarer, so he can simply drive his arms more in front of him. You can see how late the right arm goes from its external position, still externally rotated here, still cocked back, and then fires very late into the downswing. The best hitters on tour, the longest hitters on tour, hold that external rotation in the arm as late as possible and then let it go at the very end of the swing. So you can see how he gets this full extension here very late on. A lot of coaches may look at this bit here of the swing and just simply get, Alan just to simply start extending his arms more over here, but that's only fixing the effect afterwards. You're not really fixing the cause. You've got to look at the cause of why Alan would be extending his, why Alan would be kind of flipping the club and getting his arms very tight and close to him like this, and he's doing it because that club face is hugely open. So with those club face positions, he's definitely going to cast, so he loses this huge power move here in the right arm, and then because he's trying to wait for this club face to come round, we lose the rotation in the body, and obviously the full extension through the hit. So definitely that's where he's losing his power, and definitely the areas that I would work on. So flip that over now. Let's have a look at it in an amateur golfer. So I'm just going to put one of my lessons up here on the right hand side. This is Chuck. Chuck is 71 years old. He can hit a driver about 200 yards, over 200 yards definitely. So lots of power for a 71-year-old. And we can just run through some of those movements that we've been talking about in Dustin's swing and have a look at them in Chuck's. So up to the top of the swing, you can see that Alan, there he is, left loading at the top and club face open. If we run Chuck up to the top, you can see the club face position is significantly different, roughly about 45 degrees different there at the top. Definitely got his weight off his left side. You can see there's no weight over this ankle joint here. If I was drawing a line up from his left foot here, you could see that there's no weight on that ankle, lots of freedom. I know it's a driver, and obviously Alan's hitting an iron over here, but still the same movement patterns, still the same club face, or very similar movement patterns and very similar club face positions that we're looking for. On the way down, you'll start to see Alan's early cast and extending his arms. So there you can see the gap. If we start to play Chuck down, club face much squarer, you can see lovely movement and rotation, starting to rotate his body. And you can see that there's no gap there in his between his right arm and his right side of his body here. You can see how his shoulders look a little bit steeper than Alan's over here, where the right shoulder looks really high as well. So this one of Alan's here would be casting and out to in and over the top, and Chuck's would be definitely more from the inside with this elbow move and this right shoulder dropping lower here. Into impact, you can see decent delivery position. Obviously on my camera here, you can see how Chuck's club face looks very square. It looks like it's coming in at the ball with not too much movement going on. Little bit off the toe, just face opens up because he hits it a bit off the toe, but very, very stable looking into the ball here, and good body positions here, very similar to the Dustin Johnson one. Alan club face looks very open at this point here, and as it comes down, it's now going to be flipped round and closed. So just as an example, both sides of the coin there, movements in a leading tour professional and movements in a player that I've been teaching for a couple of years. What we're going to do with Alan is definitely try and get his weight off his left side and change this club face position. If we can do that, then he can start to apply the necessary movements of the body in the downswing here, which will definitely give him much more power. So hope that helps, seeing both sides of the coin, seeing it in an amateur and seeing it in a touring professional. And hopefully I've got at least 3 more lessons with Alan definitely booked in. So hopefully in a few weeks we'll be able to get a comparison up and maybe see some changes.